Most people just don't ask, and I asked very annoyingly. Everyone's career path is like linear, very easy to predict, like that they're just going like step by step. Whereas this is either I just like take a longer time to go one up, or I just go like that, right? And my startup currently has £5,000 in funding for 6 months. Great, right? Like I was getting the question every day. Joel, are you sure you don't want to do banking? You don't want to do banking? Like, are you sure? I think you should do banking. Do a master's, right? And like even today I get that actually. The longer you are in the race, the better the odds you have, in my opinion, right? No one could have told me that I would have become a prop tech founder, ever. In the beginning, I didn't know how to sell myself. I didn't know how to pitch myself.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Breaking Uneven podcast. We love to talk shop, uncover the beauty of failures and play a few games. Today, unfortunately, we have Joel Alexander, an old friend and an avid entrepreneur. So Joel, all of us met at LSC, and there you also became the Forbes Under 30 Scholar. We then co-founded Project Access India together, and then you became a One Young World ambassador. Then all of us co-founded Reshape Co. And then you did 2 stints in business and strategy before starting Jahnvi, which is now Kendal. So we know we haven't missed anything given that we were part of the journey. But how are you feeling today?
Wow, well, I really didn't expect the first question to be how I'm doing, but we were actually talking about it in the car right here. I'm actually doing all right, I think, mixed bag always, but I'm really happy to be here with you guys and getting to brag in front of my 2 closest friends is like always a pleasure and a privilege. So yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Nice.
So we're going to play a quick little game to understand a little more about Kendal AI.
Yeah.
Now, this is called the Twitter Pitch Challenge.
Oh god.
And Twitter is known for its 280 character limit on every tweet, which sometimes makes it slightly harder to convey your thoughts. So it takes about 20 seconds to speak to 80 characters, and that's your challenge, to explain to us Kendal AI in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
But you also need to use one emoji and one hashtag. Your emoji cannot be rocket emoji.
Oh, go on. Okay.
Got it? Wait.
Sure.
We're going to intimidate you a bit with a timer.
Yeah. I got a timer over my head all the time. This is not new.
Okay,
3, 2, 1, go.
Kendal is a social media management tool for the real estate business. We make sure that brokers and brokerages can focus on what they're good at, selling, and they don't have to waste their time doing boring back-end things. Hashtag real estate 2024, hashtag best brokers in the business.
One hashtag emoji.
Hashtag peace sign.
Emoji.
Oh wait, what? Peace sign?
Hashtag peace sign.
Oh wow.
Hashtag emoji.
You got it. My brain is glitching. I need another coffee. Yeah.
So you failed the challenge.
Oh,
Good
man.
start. Good start.
Yeah. Am I gonna have to do like push-ups or something now?
We should now start
You
happening.
should start.
Yeah, we should
Because I couldn't
definitely
do
do
that
some kind of
either,
punch.
to be honest. So, yeah.
Okay, so you've worked with both of us, but more importantly, we've done 2 things together. We've done Project Access and also Reshape. So what was your favorite thing about working with me?
Wow.
Wow.
I thought you were just gonna say who's better.
You told her to go unscripted, Barry. This is not a scripted question.
Wow. Okay. What's my favorite thing about working with you?
Yes.
The thing is, I'm not a very organized person, and you're an extremely organized person, right?
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly why I work with her.
Yeah. So, and it's really refreshing to have that sense of structure in amidst all the chaos, because I'm this visionary, and it's tough to contain all the chaos, right? And you really help me do that. And
Only you can take a compliment and turn it into that.
Exactly. Also, I give like right now I'm just shooting the shit. So yeah.
No, I mean, jokes apart. Your entire journey and experiences have been quite individualistic and different from the rest. So is this why you think that it's led to you becoming an entrepreneur right out of uni?
No, I think it's a mixture of, like you said in the start, actually failures and things like that have led here. I had a huge, you guys know this obviously, a huge academic setback at the very start of my university sort of education. And that's when I stopped associating myself with sort of grades as the determinant of my worth. and then moved it more into kind of like the impact that I could have on the world. And that's when we did Project Access India, right? Where we're helping like people from diverse socioeconomic backgrounds get higher education in the US, UK, negotiating soft loans for them and this kind of stuff. And it just like baffled me that we were doing like all these societies and things like that and making made up positions, head of this, president of that, and all this kind of stuff. And we thought we were, if you're president of like India society, we're prime minister of India or something like that. It's really not the case, right? But that's what it felt like. And it's very easy to get sucked into that system, that machine. But I think what I realized was there's so much value in sort of taking a step back and really looking at what's outside. And literally a few blocks away from our campus in London, there was a WeWork space where there was hundreds of startups working on their cool projects. Project Access happened to be one of them, right? And like being in a Slack channel with 210 other people from all parts of the world, like just blew my mind, because I was like, wait, there's so many people that care about a cause without earning any money. But like, and of course it's a privilege to be able to do all that kind of stuff, but like still it was like so refreshing to me to see that something was being done with just pure intention. And like, you know, that's what like really opened my eyes up. And initially it was just about having an impact, do good in the world kind of a thing. And now it's about sort of having that embedded impact in the lives of billions of people. And how can you really do that? And how can you see scale, right? So that's really like where I'm at right now, and you know, how that sort of journey kind of started. And then obviously, you know, multiple things. We've all worked together on like more than one thing now. So yeah.
Yeah, so like one of the most exciting things I think was working at the WeWork office.
Yeah.
I think like it was right next to LSE, and then like seeing people work for so many incredible like companies all under one roof, and then us just going for an hour for our project access.
Yeah, it was very cute.
It was like, oh wow, like, you know, we gotta be a part of this world even though we're not part of it yet.
It was a Tuesday, right? Like I think every Tuesday we'd need to just go in and check in with the COO of the company and give our updates. Some weeks we'd have like no updates, and we're like, so we negotiated, we were in the process of like.
But we would still just go to like enjoy the space.
Oh yeah.
Like we go a little early just to chill there.
Just
and
to
like,
have free coffee, like you know, the lemonade or whatever it is that they give. RIP WeWork though, and like also RIP all the other startups that were probably working out of there. Like I do think that London has a great pool of startups in the deep tech and sort of biotech spaces. I do think that a lot of, you know, the entrepreneurial energy has died down, and I, you know, really wish it would pick back up. Yeah.
But going back to another thing that you said about like working in societies at university, I think so. I was lucky enough to have the chance to head up the LSE India Forum.
Right.
But I will say this, a lot of what I was doing back then is what I do now. Like right now, my business is awards and conferences. That was a conference. And I'm not joking, that was a profitable conference. We did get actual sponsorship money. There was true value to the company that was sponsoring us. We flew in, like ideally, we unfortunately got hit by COVID, but we would have flown in 20 Indians in business class and brought them to London to give a talk and everything. So there was like, it was almost like a taste of business for me. So in that sense, I of course the titles and everything were a little, let's say.
No, I agree with you. And like, look, it makes sense in the context of that specific example and your life today, right? And you're so different from most 99.9% of people out there, and like what they're doing as well. But if you look at, let's take the example of the trading society. Right?
Yeah.
You're the president of the trading society. You go into Morgan Stanley first year, you're still like every other, like, you know, person that's on the trading floor. You're not president of shit, like, you know, and like you basically have to climb up the ladder for 20 years, work your, like, wake up when the markets open, clock off when the markets close, like, you know, do all the same things that everyone else does. There's really no ownership in that thing until you gain like a significant level of credibility, and it takes like a long period of time to build that. But in the context of that specific example, in your case, I agree. It makes total sense. But for most people, I think it was just a made up position that they just enjoyed the clout of having, and like did the elections, did the pizza parties. And like, it's just like, you know, privileged people making other people more privileged than they already are. Like, whereas we got the opportunity, in my opinion, to work with people who didn't have that opportunity. And for me, that was a lot more exciting at the time. I do think it's important, like the work that you were doing was like democratizing that information that's held in like those closed rooms, and like disseminating it out into like the broader world. I think that's important. And we don't often get access to those conversations. But yeah, again, your example is very, very like specific.
But I also think that the India Forum was the closest it came to running a business for any society.
Yeah.
Like if you compare just LSE India SOC versus like what they were doing versus what you were doing, it's vastly different.
Yeah.
And the impact is also different. So I think you're coming from that point of view. I mean, obviously there's no shade to the others. But it's like
I get what you mean. Maybe my experience was just very different in a society compared
look
to
at
others.
your thing, right? You were talking to the presidents of large media companies. You were talking to large sports personalities, celebrities who are like running the show in the home market, like that is India, right? So like that is useful because you can pick up the phone later and call them as well, like a couple of years down the line. Hey, remember me? I was hustling them and I'm hustling now, right? Whereas I don't think being like VP of India SOC like way back when like does anything for me. Like I can't go up to like the PMO office or whatever.
But
and be like,
but consider this.
Yeah.
If you're planning an event for Kendal, right, whether it's a launch event or like some kind of party, if you're planning a physical event, wouldn't that experience be helpful?
I never plan parties. Like I don't do that. Like we have people for that. Like what I'm saying? Like it's just also like there's a lot of power in digital marketing. It's literally what the business is about, social media marketing, right? So I'm very I believe in in-person community a lot, but I don't think we've reached that scale where we can afford to even spend on that kind of stuff just yet. And I think there's people that's way better at it than I am. So I would never dabble. Better at other things. So yeah.
But as a founder, it is important for you. Like for example, right? If you are a tech founder, now you have a technical co-founder.
Yeah.
But let's say you didn't, right?
Yeah.
You would yourself want to know at least have a taste of what it's like, so that you can lead your people better.
Yeah.
Right. So 100%. In everything, like every part of your role as a co-founder, let's say you look into 4 different aspects, right? You would want to have some level of skill in each of those 4 aspects, even if you have people for them, because you need to lead them.
Yeah.
So I feel like we are obviously we're made up of the experiences that we've had, but yeah, I think at university there was some level of external experience that all of these things gave us that university never could have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I always say that the LSE wasn't necessarily more of the academic experiences, but everything that it surrounded it. And one of it was society. So yeah, even in terms of like, there's no direct impact, but internally there's some kind of influence in the way that I am today. But I also think that like you're like 18. It's like a part of the university experience. Like it's not supposed to be that deep either, right? Like you just also want to like enjoy.
I think it ended up being that way for us, but
because India SOC, we all were part of the committee at some point. Was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
100%. I think that's what I gained out of that experience.
And we made our own little community out of it. I think that was also like quite important. But speaking of LSE and the fact that all 3 of us went there, give us your most important takeaway from college in your life as an entrepreneur today.
Yeah, so I think something that a lot of people that go to LSE do is this mentality of, hey, we just pay them the fees every single year and then they give us education. We never ask them for money, right? Like, except for if you're running a society as like, especially like LI, which is like huge financial, undertaking, right? But I actually went in and asked for sponsorship for me and a couple of others to attend One Young World, which is not cheap if you're attending, as a corporate or whatever it is. But being able to get £9,000 to sponsor, a bunch of kids to go and attend a conference is like a huge value add and something that people wouldn't even think of. Like they just think that, oh, the university is not going to give us money. But you realize that people have budgets for everything, right?
Yeah.
Budgets to ensure that the learnings that we get from there, we come and spread onto campus, etc., those kind of things. That's like one avenue. Second thing was getting a £5,000 grant from LSE, which literally kickstarted sort of like, a huge part of my entrepreneurial journey. So that's, if you take that into account, 9,000, 5,000, and then they also like flew me out to the Forbes Under 30 Summit, plus paid for my hotels and things. I've never been flown out for anything before. So that also costs money. And if you think about it, that's like roughly 16, 18K pounds. If you ask any other LSE student and ask them how much money LSE invested in them outside of education, I'd be shocked to see how much they can directly attribute to themselves. And here I can say that I gave X
You
amount
got 1
of-
year of educational
Yeah.
experience
yeah,
back.
Literally.
exactly, right? So that was very different because most people just don't ask, and I asked very annoyingly. So that's why
As you do.
Yeah, as I do. So that's what was, I think, different for me and what I learned. Like, always ask. Yeah.
Okay, so like yeah, you started with like asking there, and then I think was it in like your final year of uni where you were like set on that, okay, fine, I don't want to do a job, but I want to now start something of my own.
Yeah, I think I'd done enough things by then. We had the edtech piece, we had the consulting thing, and then we also had a sustainable fashion stint by then. Like, we had done so many different projects, gathered so many different people for ideas that we didn't really have expertise in, but we built expertise in that.
Yeah.
Right? So it was kind of clear to me that I believe that, because I was already on see, as far as I was concerned, other people were already one step ahead of me, right? So I was like, I have nothing to lose here. Realistically, if I miss 1 year of being like year one analyst, year two analyst, or something like that, I can catch up quite quickly. It's not really that big of a difference because everyone's career path is like linear, very easy to predict, like that they're just going like step by step. Whereas this is either I, just like take a longer time to go one up, or I just go like that, right? And that's what ended up happening. And I spent like 6 months, literally the day after I finished my last exam, I was working with Better Nature, which is the food tech startup I was doing BD for. And it was just like go straight into it. And obviously it was really hard to see like a lot of my friends make a lot more money than me, because it was like, at the time I was making like probably, I don't know, $1,800 in total every single month, right? And that's not great when you consider that,
By the way, I don't think that's a lot. Like, I don't
But
think
that's
you're making a lot more than you.
But yeah, that's from working
That's-
2 jobs though, right? Not
Yeah.
just from just like one thing, right? And like also the part where you have to explain to Indian parents that, hey, like I'm not taking a full-time job that pays me a stable income. I'm like kind of like freelancing kind of vibes right now. And, maybe it becomes something because I'm working on my startup on the side as well. And my startup currently has £5,000 in funding for 6 months. Great, right? Like, I can pay for my coffee, baby. And actually, pet subscription, £20 saved my life, right? Like, that really helped out. My daily diet was like an oat mocha in the morning, which is why I still do that. And then I had like a croissant, like, from Sainsbury, because in Sainsbury it's ATP and in Pret it was £2.20 or something like that. So like arbitrage, right? Like I buy the croissants from Sainsbury, it's like early in the morning because it's fresh. And then I get the coffee from Pret as subscription, do that 3 times a day. So that was fun.
To make value for money, obviously.
Of course, and like to also be full. So no, it's not like a rags to riches or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. It's not that at all. I actually think that you have to have a certain level of like, privilege to be able to even take this decision, because like you don't have to provide for your family. You don't have to do all these things. And I basically asked my parents, give me 1 year, right? Just give me 1 year. Like you've already given me that extra time anyways. Just like, let me do this for 1 year and see what happens. And I was getting the question every day, Joel, are you sure you don't want to do banking? You don't want to do banking? Like, are you sure? I think you should do banking. Do a master's, right? And like, even today I get that actually, which is funny, but like, it just happens. But yeah, like that's effectively a little bit of that. I forgot where I...
Yeah, no. I mean, I think it's so funny, like we're talking about all this and like going back to like final year of uni and all of that. And I so vividly remember that I think it was like COVID and we were going on this walk near Big Ben, and then you were like telling me what like your startup idea is gonna be, and I think initially you wanted it to be like Tinder for like investors and stuff like that. Yeah. So like obviously CrowdPan has pivoted quite a bit since then. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on pivoting, and like given that you've done a fair share of it, what do you think that it looks like in a business?
Yeah, I mean, I think we completely scrapped that Tinder for investors piece like altogether. And also I never used Tinder at the time. So I didn't realize like the dynamics of the platform at all. In fact, yeah.
Oh, so you're using
No. Guys, please. I only like, through mutual friends. Anyways, maybe sometimes not that either. But, to be honest, like swiping on sort of, founders to invest in is actually not as easy as swiping on people to go on dates with or whatever it might be. Way higher stakes. But my thesis was that, you could invest, sort of have more women invest in women founders, so that like you just have more decision makers like who are women, like taking decisions on women, right? As opposed to just like only men, like making decisions on which woman to invest in. So that was kind of the logic there. But anyways, like that didn't work out, right? And then like in terms of pivoting, I think what I've realized is that startups is not a 1 year, 2 year kind of game. You have to view it as a decade long like stint, and it's just a marathon basically. So most people lose in startups because the founder just stops trying after a certain point, because they've either run out of money or because of like people like conflicts and things like that. But the longer you are in the race, the better the odds you have, in my opinion, right? So for us, it's about like making sure that cash flow is coming through in one way or another. Somehow we're generating revenue. So at one point, I remember we took on like an agency kind of role just to keep the money coming in, so we can like offset some amount of the burn at least. And with pivoting, I think like our investors get behind us to build $1 billion business. And like if that initial vision doesn't work out due to a systemic risk or due to a market risk or something like that, you have to pivot, right? Or you return capital and then you call it a day. But for me, I think in the time when it was like, so hard to see the business vision clearly, what I woke up and saw every day was a team of 10 people that I really believed in, right? A team of people that I believe could build just about anything. And it's very rare to find a team like that. It's very rare to have technical co-founders. It's very rare who you can trust and, who are loyal to you. Because I think, like, I'm sure we'll get into all of that later, but like with pivoting in general, people make it easier, right? Like if you cannot wake up and be excited about the people that you work with every single day, then it becomes very difficult for you to go back and like keep chipping at the wall. Because there's this poster image of a guy that's like digging in a tunnel, and there's like 2 floors, and one person is just like a lot further away from the diamond, but he's still chipping away, as the other person reaches the very edge and then gives up, right? So it's kind of like you're almost there. And now with like our current version of the business and what Kendal is today, we're seeing revenue come in a meaningful way. And we're like, no one could have told me that I would have become a prop tech founder ever, right? I wouldn't have called that. I did not like the real estate business was not something that my family was involved in or that I was involved in any meaningful way. So yeah, like life happens, I guess. And like, people make pivoting much, much more meaningful and easier. Yeah.
Why don't you give us like a snapshot of like every pivot that you got, like just in half a sentence, because like I think it's really interesting to see from where you were to where you are now.
Yeah.
So like quickly.
Get this
keyword.
Okay, so CrowdPad first iteration was building the world's first mobile social token app on top of Solana, so that you can invest in content creators. So scan their QR code while they're busking on the street, invest in them, have incentives both ways, so that you can share all of their posts, like everything, so that they can grow and you can grow. It was the human IPO, right? That's what that was. Eventually, post like a bunch of, I'm not going to get into reasoning. We then pivoted into like a user-generated content marketplace for brands and creators. That didn't work out, and then we pivoted into a bank for creators at one point, which was like branded credit cards with creators like on there, and then you could do like affiliate to them so they can earn money in their sleep. So if you use let's say the Weeknd's card at like Zara or whatever, then the Weeknd gets money just because his card was used at the place. But then you'd be competing in the credit card business with the likes of Amex and like local national banks, whatever. So not feasible as well. We were like, let's take away the financial component, let's work on loyalty programs. And then you realize that loyalty is like a later down the marketing stack kind of a thing, because you have awareness, distribution, retention, right? Retention's the last stack. It's not like the first. Yeah. Then you work your way downstream to awareness, and that's when you have social media management. And then I was doing this social media management thing. It was a simple chatbot where I was actually replying to people as AI. And then like, people seem to pay for like a $99 chatbot or something like that. And that's when I sort of meet a gentleman called Daniel Daggers in the UK, in London, and spend some time like working out with his sort of agents in the office as well, and realize like, real estate agents actually have so much on their plate and they should just focus on selling. but instead they're sometimes wasting, like they might have to waste their time editing, or they have to send it to the social media manager who doesn't have enough bandwidth. And then they actually have a really good content team, but a lot of other brokerages don't have dedicated, personalized like content teams and things like that. And that's when I was like, if every real estate agent were to become an influencer, or which they already are trying to be, how do they have meaningful content going out consistently? And there is a high willingness to pay there, because the average cost of a social media agency is like $2,500 a month. Let's say, reasonably speaking, a social media manager sets you back between 70 and 100K a year dollars. And they can do like one brand account and maybe one agent account. So that's not really a lot. And you have like, let's say 200 brokers in an agency, for instance, right? So that's when I was like, there's an opportunity here to disrupt this category, go after a per agent sort of model or a per brokerage model, and like, really do something cool. And with automated workflows and AI, like that becomes a lot more meaningful. That's what Kendal is today. And I'm happy to give you an insight into where it's going as well. Yeah.
I don't know how long you think this podcast is. They're saying we'll get into stuff later. I'm happy to give you an insight. Relax.
Okay.
But also, I think if you go back and see what you were doing with Solana, right, you were focusing on creators and the content consumers. So that's a very large number of people.
Yeah.
Now, if you come to Kendal, you're focusing on real estate brokers and brokerages. So it's a very small subset, right? So, and there's a lot of businesses that pivot to a niche, right?
Yeah.
Why did you choose building for your niche, and how do you see, because you're not reducing the eventual value you want to get out of your business, right? But by focusing on a niche, you still see that value coming out. So how do you?
I think what you realize is that most businesses are flywheels, and most successful businesses are flywheels, right? Like Apple, Microsoft, etc. Like they all have like different parts of that funnel. And it's the same with real estate. Like I think you start at the brokerage kind of part of the equation, and then you can sort of move into all sorts of things because they control distribution towards clients. So let's say you wanted to jump into real world asset tokenization, right? Putting real estate on blockchain. People think it's about building the tech for blockchain that can put real estate on blockchain first and all this kind of stuff. But it's actually, do you know a client that's willing to put their house on chain, right? Like, and who knows those clients? The brokers know the clients. What about the fact that, real estate agents are going more and more independent, right? The fact that they're going away from their brokerages, they want to control their own distribution. They're only making like the 2.5% commission, in some cases less than that. And they want those extra percentage points. The way to do that is like, use your own credibility and basically sell to the audience directly. And when you're doing that, it's like, so I need like an admin team, I need a sales team, I need an ops team, legal team, finance team. And like, you're like, wait, so there's an opportunity here for the front and back office of real estate. So there's that opportunity. There's so many avenues when you break it down into a value chain and a flywheel, as opposed to looking at it as just like trying to attack it all at once. And the only thing I'd say to the niche part is like, you need to build a niche so that you can build distribution, right? And distribution and sales solves all problems. So that's kind of like where I'm like, why we decided to focus and hone down. It's just a learning and an expensive learning as well.
Yeah.
But like, that's what it is.
So fully agreed that, distribution and sales makes up like a lot of what you do. The value is going to come out of that, because that's how you hit volume and everything.
Yeah.
And in fact, we spoke about this in our previous episode as well, that like a second-time founder focuses on distribution more than the product itself.
Yeah.
But of course, with, for example, something like the original idea, you're expecting to get that value a lot quicker. Except that in this case now with Kendal, you're kind of tackling it one at a time, and that value will come for sure.
Yeah.
But the timeline is a lot further.
Yeah.
And then, of course, your funding runway is still planned out according to the initial idea. So how do you manage that? Do you fundraise again? Do you try to extend it? Combination? What do you do?
Yeah, so I think, like you said, it's a combination of things, right? We extended our runway as soon as we made the pivot, because we needed to like find product market fit and like, do that whole journey from 0 to 1 again. So we reduced burn by like almost 30% overall. And like at the top of like, realizing that we needed to pivot, that extended our runway from literally like, I think about 16 to 24 months easily just then itself. So you went from having like close to little to no time to then having 2 years in the bank, right? And now like, about like a significant amount of time into that journey. I'm so glad that we did that. It was short-term disappointment because you could potentially lose people from cutting salaries and things like that, or and in obviously letting people go as well. It's a combination of that. But luckily for us, we've had the opportunity to sort of have like some really amazing people on our team, and they realize the vision and the value of the team, and sort of like that's the reason they stay, not just the money part, which has been really helpful. So I guess like that's one way to kind of, cutting burn, managing your expenses. That's like a big part of it. I really don't like the idea of raising money without sort of having something to supercharge, right? If you are still at the stage where you're still figuring things out, there's no need to bring in more capital. I think that if you figured out a land and expand, so let's say one agent at a brokerage uses us, and then 5 agents of the same brokerages using us, and that pattern is repeating across like 20 brokerages, that's when I'm like, if I put in $2 million here, I'm going to get $10 million out, right? That's when you should go and raise money. But until that point, you really don't. And, with your point about sales taking time to catch up and things like that, it's a very valid concern. My goal is to just land into as many different firms as possible and then have it expand over a period of time and do whatever it takes to accelerate that. A lot of that has to do with your content marketing and getting more things inbound and getting with social media, we have this unique opportunity of, I think I was writing this LinkedIn post just before coming in here, right? Like, why you do it, right? You want to be like, when you send a customer a constant follow-up of like, hey, did you do this? Are you subscribed yet? Do you want to do this? It's very annoying. But if you're just top of mind without being in their face, it's like, wait, they're still kicking, right? So with or without this, they're going to do they're going to do it, right? And then you're just like, okay, maybe I'll consider like replying to this guy. Or maybe I'll follow up in like 2 months' time when we made progress and like, hey, the last time I did reach out, we only had this and now we have this. That plus, being top of mind ends up being a sale, right? So that's kind of an interesting dynamic in sales that's been very useful to sort of observe. But yeah, I think that's kind of how I look at it.
By the way, did you see our script before we started? Because somehow your transition from one of our questions to the next has been probably the most seamless we've ever had. Like we've barely had to go off script here.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know. We great minds think alike. I'm saying, I don't know who else you've had on the podcast, but sorry.
But really,
how do you not know? I thought you've subscribed.
No. I watch all the 5 shorts that you post for every single episode.
So you consume 1% of our actual content.
No. I mean, it's really guys. Let's focus. Let's focus on the important things here. Let's talk about it.
So you were talking about the LinkedIn post that you were writing. So over the last few years, whether it's LinkedIn or Instagram, you've tried to have a social presence online.
Yeah.
What's your reasoning for that, other than just the being on top of mind or being the nudge that you're giving people?
She's asked this question in a much nicer format than what it's
Tell me the crude version. Let's go.
You maintain a strong social presence on social media, sometimes too strong. Why does that matter?
Okay, so I think in the beginning, I was really drawn to the attention that was not being given to it. I think a lot of people were not doing it in the same way I was doing it way back in university, because people were using it to message MDs at banks and stuff like that to get internships. And then I was posting YouTube videos on my sort of LinkedIn page. If you look at my pinned post, there's one that's called "Why I'm Withdrawing All My Graduate Job Applications." Yeah. And that was an interesting video to put out, because I was that was a big claim for me to make. It was on New Year's Day, and I was like, I'm done with all that. There's still 6 months to 12 months in the recruitment cycle. And I was like, screw it, I'm done. I'm not going to get involved with this stuff. And I put it out for the world to see. And a lot
of people remember that you said that's my accountability. Now that I've said it, I'm not going back.
And most things like that on social media, I really try to stick to it, because I'm my accountability group is everybody, right? Because people can say this guy is just bullshitting, right? And I'm no, actually look back at that post, right? And I said that then, and I just put it into the world that, I'm going to be focused on this, and whatever I do, I'm going to share with you guys. So everyone that saw me before Fundraise knew that I was working on something or the other, every single month, something was going on, right? So they weren't surprised to see that there was a Fundraise announcement or whatever. They didn't necessarily care what it was or who, all this kind of stuff. but they knew that I'd been on a journey. And I think it's important to take people with you on that journey in a world where everything is commoditized. I think it's so important to have distribution and like individuality that comes through. Like people need to have that parasocial relationship with you where they kind of know what you're about, even though they don't necessarily know every single detail, right? So there's a fine line there for sure. Sometimes I've crossed it, I would say, like with like, you know, my mom always says when you're going to the bathroom also you post like on social media, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it's very interesting, right? But I've seen it add a ton of value. I've gotten internships, podcasts, like guests. I also did the podcast thing, like, you know, at one point.
Chai with CEOs.
Chai with startup CEOs. I got like Y Combinator founders to come on and like share their advice, and then like eventually learned how to fundraise myself, raise more money than them as well. I'm sorry. No, that's not what I mean. It's not a measure of success. I get it. Stop. Don't cancel me, please. But yeah, so that's kind of, you know.
I'm very surprised you haven't got cancelled yet.
I'm waiting to be cancelled. You know, there's this guy in Bollywood now. His name is Ori, and this dude thrives on being like cancelled or something like
Have
that.
you watched the last episode of Coffee with Karan?
No.
He's planning his demise.
To be honest, with Coffee with Karan, I only liked the Jahnvi Deepika episode. After that, I was kind of like, you know.
I like the Varun and Sid episode.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I didn't see it. Yeah.
You missed out.
You're into one of them, I'm guessing. Right. Yeah.
Okay.
That's
both of them are married.
Oh, are they? Okay, sorry. I'm not caught up.
Does that make you more into them?
Yeah, obviously. So yeah, into like the whole like social media game, you also like network quite a bit, like whether that's on LinkedIn in person or like through social media as well. What has that journey been, and like why were you always that comfortable with networking, or did you put intention behind it to get you like all these opportunities that you have had so far?
This is a really tough one because I've had like my ups and downs with it. Like, so in the beginning, I didn't know how to sell myself. I didn't know how to pitch myself. And I think I had that traditional mentality of, oh my God, someone's giving me their time of day, so I owe them something. Or like, you know, I should be borderline subservient for that fact. You know what I'm saying? And then I realized that the only reason that they're talking to me is because I also bring some value into the room. Otherwise, they just wouldn't give you a time of day because everyone's busy and like they don't need to give you time. So I think that's what I realized about networking. The fact that like, you know, you also bring value, something you should keep in mind. And like, that's what drives a lot of your sort of self-esteem. And when you're meeting people, I hate being a fan. You'll never ever see me go up to a celebrity and try to take a selfie with them or anything like that. It just is the most off-putting thing I've seen. It's jarring to me. That people throw themselves at celebrities like that, right? I actually feel like you almost lose all respect for that person, and then you can't, even if they're a person of substance, you just can't see them for the substance anymore. You can only see them for their fandom, and then that's very irritating. So what I've realized is like, get myself to a sufficient position of leverage before I meet someone of that like level. Otherwise, you're just going to be a fanboy. And like, that's why like I've always been in rooms with like, I mean, off late at least, with like very significant people, but I've realized that like going up to them without any meaningful contribution is pointless. So I just don't do it anyways, because you're like not even a memory at that point, and you want to be memorable.
Yeah, someone once asked me, how would you feel? I love F1 and Lewis Hamilton's my favorite driver. And someone once asked me, how would you feel if you met him? Or if you were in the same room as him? And I said, I would feel nothing. Give me a 5-minute conversation with him, 5 minutes or 2 minutes or like even a minute. Like, give me a conversation with him and I'll be over them. Because like that's where the value is. I'm not fussed about breathing the same air as him unless I'm talking to him.
Yeah. So there was this, you guys will actually laugh at this, but there was a Ukrainian village in New York, right? I was getting coffee with my friend KP, and basically I saw Roman Roy from Succession, right? On the street, right? He's walking on the street. He's got his stroller. His wife's there. His kid's there. And KP was like, bro, like, why aren't you going to see? You love Succession. And all you guys know, like literally just before this thing, I posted something with Succession music and stuff. I love Succession. Our product's called Kendal Roy, whatever, right? You know? But I was like, I'm not going to go and say hello to him. Like, because I don't want to be a fan. Like, I'm not going to go and like, you know, interrupt his family time. And rest assured, 2 minutes later, someone was like, can we please get a picture with you? And he was like, I'm so sorry, I'm with my family, like, you know. And I was just like, you got to read the room and like, you got to understand the value you bring. Otherwise, it's just not like, you know, even though I love the show and stuff like that, I'm never ever like I've seen the behind the scenes of the celebrity life, and like not being one, but like yet, but like more so like seeing what they like. They'll get on the selfie kind of screen. They'll post something like, "Guys, you were so excited," and then like they'll drop in like, "Oh my god, I'm so tired." Like it's very like different, right? They have a different type of difficulty in their life, and like obviously not many people relate to that. Some people call it like privilege, whatever. But like the point is like, it's not as glamorous as they make it out to be, and sometimes it's very hard to have bandwidth for so many people. So with networking now, I'm very intentional, or I just don't go. Before, I used to try to go to a room of 1,000 people and just hope I find that one person. Now, if I'm not the person of leverage in the room, I try to avoid going as much as possible. But obviously, when you're in a new industry, you're trying to make a mark, you try to be in those new rooms, and then you have to hustle your way up. It just circle of life. Yeah.
So on that note, we'll go to our next challenge. This one's called Two Truths and a Lie. The idea is you give us 3 statements from your entire journey so far. It can be challenges, accomplishments, it can be personal, it can be business related. But 2 of them have to be true and 1 has to be false. We have to guess which is the false statement.
Interesting.
And you have to think hard because we know you well.
You know me really well. Yeah. This is going to be so hard.
Yeah. That's the point.
All right. I'll just start?
Yeah,
cool. So I take 2 flights a month, right? That's my standard. I drink flat white, all the time. Like, and that's my new choice of drink, actually. And lastly, I drive a Tesla Model Y.
The last one's a lie, right? He changed his car.
He changes car all the time. So
I think he changes his car.
I know that. I also know this month he's taking 4 flights, like the next month. Feb, he's taking 4 flights. His standard might be 2.
No, but I think his standard, he used to.
And his drink is a hot mocha, he just said it. But new choice.
It used to be, I've heard him order of that before.
And I feel like he's also the kind of person that would do all 3 lies.
Yeah, man. No, all 3 truths. He's not thinking of so many lies.
No, I know it's Feb is 4 flights. It might be on average 2 a month.
Yeah, I thought it was more than that.
No, there are also 2-3 months stints where he doesn't travel. So on average, it might be like basically 24 flights a year.
He did more.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to go with Model Y because I know you're currently driving a 3 Series and you're going back to a 3 Series, red to black.
M3, but like
M3. Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I said as well.
Yeah.
I would say that's right. Like, I don't drive a Model Y.
Yeah.
Flat whites is becoming a new thing because like the chocolate is really not healthy apparently. And
unless it's dark chocolate.
Yeah, sure.
No, actually, like if it's like above 75% dark chocolate, it's actually very good for your heart.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I get it. And then the 2 flights a month thing is an average. Sometimes can be more or less, but like it's fairly true. Like
24 flights a year.
It's okay. That's not cool. Continue.
Why is it so antsy, man?
Nah, it's just this. Yeah.
High burn rate.
That's
the old
yeah. This is good.
That's the argument started in the communist.
Yeah.
Will people from Crowdpad watch this?
I don't know.
Do you want to stir some shit?
Maybe.
Okay.
Why not? I'm always down to stir shit.
We know. But yeah,
Okay.
Moving on to our next game. It's called Red Flags. We're going to give you 3 situations from which each situation is going to have 3 statements, 2 of which are going good and 1 is the red flag. And then you have to choose which situation you would rather be in. So situation 1, Kendal AI has more than 500 monthly paying users. You have successfully raised your next round of funding, but Drishti, your co-founder, has to leave the business for personal reasons. Situation 2, the Kendal AI team has grown to 100 people. Eventually, Kendal AI's services are expanded beyond real estate, but you're at the end of your funding runway and don't see potential to raise anytime soon. Situation 3, you see a market for the original Crowdpad idea growing. You are personally invited to give a TED talk, but your investors are not happy with the direction you're going in. So these are your 3 situations. You have to tell us which situation you would rather be in.
I think situation 1.
We are storing shit up because Drishti is.
No, but it says she's leaving for personal reasons,
Yeah.
right? Like, I would respect that. Like, as in she's given a lot of time and effort and hard work into this. If she just step back because of personal reasons, I would respect that completely. As long as it's not like, betrayal or like something cruel like that, or like some conflict and stuff like that. That's where
it's not. It's personal reasons.
Yeah,
The point of personal
it's like
reasons.
I would fully respect that. Like, she's.
But
working hard.
does that mean that the green flags in situation 1
Are
that great that you would be okay with that?
I would say it's fine. Like, because like the thing is, it's not about the green flag actually.
You're seeing the red flags of the others are way worse.
Yeah, I think so. Like, the end of the funding runway plus don't see potential, that's bad for the whole team, not just one person. Your investors are not happy and with the direction you're going in. It's generally not about like them like not being happy with the direction you're going in, but also the fact that they placed a bet on you, right? They took a bet on you when nobody else did. And there's a certain like responsibility you have to do right by that. Whereas a co-founder leaving for personal reasons after working really hard and giving their time to this,
there is a reason
and
for it.
moving the needle from A to B like is really really hard. So yeah, like I think that's fair. So that it's more about like the red as opposed to the green. I think the green is always changing and like it's whatever, right? Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Cool. Now we'll go on to our last segment.
Yeah.
The rapid fire. So this is, it's self-explanatory, right? And you know what? You actually know the reshape rapid fire, etc. as well. So we'll just dive right in. You don't?
I love it. Please continue.
Anyway.
I'm born for interviews.
How many all-nighters did you pull in your first year of Kendal AI?
A lot.
Okay. How many days of leave have you taken in the last year?
Including weekends?
No.
Probably like 2.
Okay. What is the scrappiest thing that you've done to build your business?
I was replying to messages as AI on a WhatsApp chatbot. Yeah.
What is your dream product feature you wish to build with Kendal AI?
But this is not going to happen. Like, as in, like, I'm not necessarily going to. It depends on what the customer wants, right? But
like a dream that you like you want this feature to be there and hope like
it works out.
It works out.
I mean, I would really like Kendal to be like how Siri or Alexa is, but to real estate agents, basically, right? So front and back office, but like handheld on your phone. You just do business on WhatsApp or something.
Nice. That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Did you ever question whether it was worth it?
No.
What was your proudest moment with Kendal AI?
Getting our first paying customer.
What's the weirdest place from where you worked?
The kitchen in like where I was staying in Pimlico, I think. I don't know if you guys ever came to that apartment, but we didn't have a living room. We only had a kitchen. So I just worked out in the kitchen, and that was like what it was. And I was sharing with like these 2 other dudes, and like it was, yeah.
Okay, you probably have like 5 answers for this, but what was your biggest sacrifice to make Kendal AI possible?
Relationships, with like friends, family,
Partners.
Yeah, like that was that was probably the biggest.
What was one time you felt like you let Kendal AI down?
Before Kendal AI became Kendal AI as it is today, I felt like, so many people trust me to kind of build this thing and like be the visionary person or whatever. But like, it's not always clear. And like, it took a lot of time before we got here, even before we reached that niche kind of a thing. So until then, I felt like I was letting everyone down. Yeah.
What's your biggest fear?
My biggest fear.
Rapid fire.
Yeah, it's making sure that like, everyone that came into Kendal or CrowdPad like leaves better off as opposed to like if they leave worse off, I would be really upset. Yeah.
Would you ever retire?
No.
Which hobby of yours did your work kill?
Not really.
Do you have hobbies?
No. that was my hobby is no, I hate to say it. I mean, I still drive, I get chai, like, and one of my friends, Daniel, actually, so Daniel Daggers, we were in the car, we were getting coffee or something like that, and he was just like, Joe, whenever a girl asks you what you do for fun, don't say you drink chai. Like that's not fun, bro. And I was just like, but it's that vibe, you know.
I get what you mean totally. Because I'm an avid chai drinker.
Yeah,
but I think unless someone is a chai drinker, they don't get it.
They don't get it, and so that
you need to find a chai drinker for a partner.
Sure. If you're listening,
slide into the DMs.
Slide into
books or podcasts.
Podcasts.
iPad or notebook?
Neither.
Day or night?
Night.
And what's your favorite social media?
Instagram.
Cool. So that concludes our rapid fire segment, which almost brings us to the end of our conversation. We ask every one of our guests at the end to ask our next guest a question. So we're now going to ask you, we're going to let our previous guest ask you their question.
Oh, shoot.
So my question is, if a larger competitor, a larger name, a larger brand comes into the market with a larger capital and more resources, how would you deal with it? And if they threaten to take over most of your market share, how would you deal with that?
Like, this is such a good question for you.
Yeah.
Because the tech is a very competitive space, right? Like,
yeah, I think there's a lot of different aspects to that question, right? A larger competitor can be anyone, right? Like, it can be Microsoft in this case, right? I think the problem is that anyone can build like technology, but not everyone can build distribution, or at least not. They'd have to acquire it in a meaningful way, and for that they would either need to like take us out completely, or like have their SDRs or BDRs, whatever, like talk to real estate agents every single day. And I don't think that's as easy as people make it out to be. I do think it'll be easy for them to build a posting tool, a scheduling tool, a video editing tool, whatever, but it's not going to be as easy for them to like pick up the phone, build relationship with like sort of several real estate agents all over the world and gain their trust, because the real estate business is a trust business, and it's not just about tech. So that's what I think like, you know, would happen in that case. But yeah, I mean, like my answer to competition is very straightforward. I'm going to keep focusing on my customers. I'm going to keep focusing on what they want. As long as they're paying for the product and like there's expansion there, it doesn't bother me who else is in the market, because there's always competition. So yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. Fun fact, actually, we record like the first episode of Breaking Uneven was a joke that never went out.
Wow.
And you don't even know it didn't go up. That's why it didn't go up.
Oh, okay, very interesting.
But I completely forgot about it, like mid-recording right now. I'm like, oh my god, like the first episode.
Remember the reshape one?
I don't even remember.
It took us so long to
Oh,
say
that one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The one with you and Bhopal.
Yeah.
It had so many glitches because of all the front and back and like the sound, everyone
It
cutting
was
out.
aligned.
And now I'm guess number what?
51.
52.
Wow.
50, yeah, 51.
You were talking about getting people business class tickets or something like that. Where was my ticket? I didn't get it.
That was the India forum.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But, yeah,
Cool.
this has been such like a fun and wholesome episode. Like it's been so surprisingly we didn't talk about reshape at all, but like that was something that we worked together on. And yeah, there's so much more I guess like we could speak about in terms of like everything and how we've worked together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's been nice. Like
I think we saw a very good balance of like your company, our like history, and then also like a bit of university, because that's also another thing.
No, I mean, we didn't really talk about that part, did we? Like, as in, especially the part where I hated on it at first, to be honest. Like, it wasn't always this love relationship.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Everyone started hating.
No, because he was in our econ class, and the guy would answer every single question. And I was just like, come on, bro.
Yeah, because coming out of school, I was a bit of a know-it-all.
I mean,
and then within like 2 months at LSE, it fully flipped.
Like, do you think like our friend group changed you?
No, if anything, y'all would have made me like more studious. But the thing is, I became like
more normal.
No.
I do think you guys disciplined me quite a bit, because again, you are the average of the 5 people around you.
Yeah.
So because all of y'all was so freaking disciplined, I think that helped me quite a bit. Yeah. But in terms of academics, I think very quickly when I got to university, I realized that there's a whole bunch of shit I need to do outside of the classroom.
Yeah.
But I think I went a little extreme and completely forgot about the classroom.
Yeah.
Where I pretty much maintained 0 attendance at lectures and minimum attendance in class.
The thing is, you do that and still be able to answer all of the questions and get all.
But I also know people that hated you in AC 1 or 2 because you kept putting your hand up.
Oh yeah, that was to be fair. Like that was more.
So it's both of them the same.
Yeah. So he's with econ, I was with accounting. Like it's like fair. No, I get it. But yeah, now it's been like for us also. We've done like so much stuff. Like we literally went on those offsites with the whole project access team to like random places and like met with totally like very like they're all strangers to us, right? And we were just like the whole company was basically full of like Europeans and like and we were the only like Indian folks on that.
We started like the Indian.
Yeah, and it was just like very different like culturally because like also it's not like I was born in London or anything. I didn't grow up into that degree of multicultural. Even though my school was international, we were 90% Indian, right? So it's just like that was very different to like adopt to their ways of like communicating, their ways of like accepting feedback. Is like that was also different for us, and like it was really nice to like tackle it all together and just to like bounce off of each other in terms of like our ideas and stuff like that from so early on. Like
I think also one thing that Project Access did incredibly well was community building. Like their Slack channel, if you've joined so many other Slack channels and stuff like that, it's not active. There, it's active to another degree, like the ones that are non-work related.
Yeah.
Like the way they got everyone feeling a part of something was through the roof. Like it was really, I think it was like inspiring to a certain extent.
Yeah.
When we started like Reshape to start something like that, but I don't think we came even like close to anything.
We scaled up Reshape also quite quickly though.
Yeah, that was also
companies, 200 volunteers.
Yeah.
Not bad at all.
Crazy. That was we went through a lot. Like every day of the pandemic, we were just basically waking up and like like clients, people. Like it was crazy.
And then I was on video call for so long.
Because of the entire media side of things, we were just like.
Because he was like trying
to do well into our jobs. We used to like every evening fucking get on a video call after work and shit like that.
Then they used to Gokul and Jody used to live 5 minutes away from me, so then I used to go to theirs.
Yeah.
And
then we tried to like figure out how can we continue being on Reshape and still do our jobs, like contractually not allowed to do anything else and stuff. And now I realize that it doesn't fucking matter. Like they don't care. They don't give a shit.
Oh man.
I applied at Deloitte. I said I have another thing I'm working
and they still were like.
And I just never got a response because they don't give a shit. That compliance team doesn't care at all.
Yeah, I think we think of it as but we could become next Deloitte. Like what I'm saying.
No, but also,
not even about that, because we were a violation of a visa if we were doing something other than our job.
Yeah.
But technically, like we weren't making money, so I don't think that that was the difference.
Exactly.
Because my manager knew, like he still asks me, like when I was still working, and like later after moving jobs, also he would still ask me, being like, oh, like what's going on with that and stuff. And that's like everyone kind of knew because it was like publicly there.
Yeah. We weren't shy about it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. But
I mean, we were doing interviews with our faces and putting them up on YouTube.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, actually, that's another fun fact. Breaking Uneven used to be a show we
was
started
inspired
Reshape.
by Reshape.
Yeah, good times. Good times. I mean, I'm so glad because we worked on the sustainable fashion thing, and then we worked on Project Access, and then I was wait, and then Gokul had also worked with us on the fashion thing as well, and it was just like a strange mix of like worlds colliding kind of a thing when it happened. And even Sheen, was on the Project Access like group chat, whatever. We were like, hey, who wants to work on this? He was like, oh, and then today, if you look at it, we're all still like connected really well. All still like Gokul's our head of operations now, right? Yeah. Sheen lives in Dubai.
Both of us still work together. Both of us still work
together. Right?
Sheen is close in the sense I literally went to Dubai and I met her, so we're still all in touch.
Yep. And we hang out all the time in Dubai as well.
That's actually mad. Yeah. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, and she went on to do her dreams, right? Building her own podcast and stuff like that. Man, it's
crazy.
It is actually quite crazy to see how far we've come, and also like the things that we did in times where everyone else was just doing like the set things. Today it feels like not such a big deal, because it's all in hindsight. But like It's
No,
really
we've always like tried to do something that's out of the regular track.
Yeah. Shit. Cool.
Nice. Let's end it on that note.
I need brunch. Yeah.